Hi everyone, I'm Mandy from Emptiness Designs, and in this video I'm going to show you how to create this crochet stitch marker holder. I came up with the idea when my husband bought me a gorgeous new case to keep all my crochet stuff in, and I didn't want the stitch markers just loose in the bottom of the case. So I created this, and it keeps them all perfectly in order and in one place. So there's two different types on here. There's the decorative, which have the charms on, and the ones that I create more of, the ones I call functional. These ones have hook numbers on them, which basically means if, like me, you suffer from multiple crochet project disorder, and you tend to use the same size hook a lot, if you put the stitch marker that relates to the hook you're using onto the project, when you go back to it a few weeks later, there's no question as to which hook you were using. You just know because it has the marker numbers on it. So because I can be a bit of a scatterbrain, I need something like this in my life, so I made them. Okay, so let's get started. To create this project, you're going to need 3.5 crochet hook, scissors, and a needle. The yarn I'm using is a paint box yarn in a really nice light green. It happens to be a DK in shade 132. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is create my slip knot, and by doing that we have the starting point for crocheting. So if you haven't seen this method before, I wrap it across my first 3 fingers, not the little one. I lay the tail across here, and then I wrap it round, and I catch at the bottom using my little finger. I take the tail over the wrap, and I drop it down to the next finger, and then I take the wrap over the tail, I drop that down, I lift it off the third finger there, I pull it tight, and this is the loop where we're going to put our hook in, and that is how I create my slip knot. There are many different ways, but for me, I've always just found that to be the easiest one. So if you're new to crocheting, we now have the first loop on the hook, and we're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull through that loop. That's 1. We're going to do that again. Yarn over, pull through the loop. That's 2. Yarn over, pull through the loop. That's 3. We're going to do this all the way to 20. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So it's not a big project and it doesn't take very long, but it really is a very handy project. Now, because this is such a small project, I really want a nice, neat finish. And the way I achieve that is when working my first row of double crochets back down my chain, I like to work along the back ridges. So all I'm going to do right now is chain 1 more, which gives us a total of 21 stitches, and then I'm going to turn it over so that I can work in the back ridges, which you can see quite apparently just all the way down the piece here. So we don't want to go into the first one, we want to go into the second one, which is essentially the second chain from the hook. And we're going to go into that ridge, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So in UK terms, that's a double crochet. If you're working in US terms, that is a single crochet. I'm going to do that again for you. Into the back ridge, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to work that stitch all the way down into every back ridge loop to the other end, giving us 20 double crochets. This isn't a very big project, so I'm not going to pause it and tell you to catch up, because I'm not going very fast, so hopefully you're keeping up with me anyway. I really enjoy working into the back loops, the back ridges of the chain stitches, because it just gives you a really neat finish that mirrors your finishing row, which would end in these. When I get to the end, I'll show you. If you haven't done this technique before, I highly recommend it because it really does make a difference on the edge of your project. It's my go-to if I'm creating blankets or scarves. I always tend to work into the back ridge for that neater finish. And we're almost at the end here. Don't forget to catch the very last ridge that is part of the slip knot. So not this one, that's number 19. This one right here, number 20. So let me show you. See how you've got that really nice set of V's the whole way down here? It's just a really neat edge to work from. Okay, so all we're going to do now is create our row of trebles and chains. So we're going to chain 2, and this counts as our first treble, so we're going to turn our work. And we're not going into this stitch here. We're going to go, because that's where the chains come from, we're going to go into the next stitch. And we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, pull, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we've got our chain, which counts as our first treble, and then our treble. We're then going to chain 1, and we're going to skip this stitch and work into this one here. So we're going to yarn over, skipping this one and going into the next one, insert the hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to do that again in the next stitch. And then we're going to chain. And we're going to repeat that process again. So skipping this one and doing a treble into the next. And into the one after that. And then we're going to chain and skip the next stitch. And that is the whole pattern that we're going to be doing the whole way across this row. So 2 trebles, chain, 2 trebles, chain, all the way across, remembering to skip the stitch after the 2 trebles to create the space that the stitch markers will actually go into. Almost there. And this project really doesn't take a lot of yarn to make or a lot of time to make it. So we finish on 2 trebles. And that is row 2 completed. I'm going to chain 1 and turn our work. And we're going to go into every stitch back down the row with a double crochet. So we're not going into this one here, we're going into the next one because this is where the chains come from. So we're going to insert the hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to do that the whole way down the row. I personally like to go into the stitch, not the stitch space when it comes to the chain space. I just think it gives a neater finish, but if you want to go into the space for speed, that's absolutely fine. But as I said, I think it just gives a bit of a neater finish. And just grab some more yarn. And this project is very quick to make, but for me, I found it made a real difference in my bag. All my hooks weren't, not my hooks, my stitch markers weren't just loose in the bottom of the bag. And it's a little stash buster as well. So if you've got friends that crochet, you can either make them stitch markers and one of these to keep them on, or buy stitch markers, and just, it makes a nice little gift. I recently gave one, I just added it into a card that I made and gave to my cousin, and I think she liked it. So just into the final stitch, making sure you get both parts of the V, and that is essentially project finished. So you've got your row of chains, your row of double crochet, your row of trebles and chain spaces, and then your row of double crochet again. And the only thing to do to finish it off, and this is optional, is to create a little hanging hook or a little handle. And all we're going to do is do another row of 20 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. And then we're going to go back down to the stitch, insert the hook and slip stitch to join it, and then we're going to yarn over, snip off the yarn and pull the yarn through. Pull it tight, and that just leaves the weaving in the ends, which is really simple to do. So just thread your needle, I find that the row of double crochet creates a really nice little channel for you to just do your weaving into. Not that mine wants to go in right now. Yeah, try the other way. I always seem to have more luck when I do it with my right hand, even though I am left-handed. And yet still it doesn't want to go in. Isn't that always the way? I think I might have pulled a stitch too tight maybe. There we go, just give it a bit of a shove. And then pull your yarn through. Go back down the row. I personally don't like to have the tail coming out the end, so I will go back up the row again, just a couple of stitches in so that the tail is tucked into the work as opposed to just poking out the end, and snip that off. Careful not to cut your stitches here. Repeat the process for the bottom. Hopefully this one goes through the stitches a little easier than the first one did. Oops, let me try this side. Just into the little channel that the double crochet created. Don't have to go in too far. It's not likely to come undone with the way it's used with just holding the stitch markers. And then just so it's not poking out the end, just back up a couple of stitches and snip that off. And there we go. There's the finished piece. Doesn't take very long to make. Doesn't take up a lot of yarn. Let me just grab a stitch marker to christen it with. So this one is a 2.5, so I'm just going to pop that into the hole there and done. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. All my social media and website information is available underneath the video. Do pop along and give it a like and a follow where appropriate. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.